not all at once.
How would you assess the defense's improvement as far as learning the system over a year ago? How much progress have they made in that regard?
Yeah, they've made a ton of progress, to this point. Obviously, going through another spring, a summer, a lot of the base principles that we had in place. I think those guys really, truly understand it. Now we obviously got some new guys, in the program, are kind of working their way through it. But if you wanted to say where we are now based on where we were a year ago, we're definitely ahead, and we feel like we're heading in the right direction.
Tim, what would you say has surprised you most about your defense this fall camp?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm surprised, to be honest with you. Having done this for many years, I feel like we're exactly where we need to be. I think the guys are really working extremely hard. The freshmen, obviously, that we've recruited, we knew they had talent, but we also knew there would be a learning curve, and both of those things have held true. So I don't know there have been really many surprises right now. I feel like, year 2 in the program, everybody understands exactly what to expect and how we go about our business, and, everybody's really working hard that way. So really hasn't been any surprises to this point.
Austin and Vince.
When you look back at where you were when you took the field for the first time in spring practice of 2021 and where you are exiting fall camp now, how do you describe that? And then in the common fan, it doesn't know the roster inside and out yet. Who are some names that maybe they don't know now that they'll know come 1st of October in your mind?
Yeah, I think the first part of that question is, we didn't have a ton of depth when we got here. Obviously, we didn't really know our players, so we're trying to figure out, exactly what their strengths were and, obviously what the liabilities were. So, having gone through a spring, obviously a season, from terms of the veteran guys, we know exactly, what they bring to the table. We understand what their liabilities are, and we've obviously worked very, very hard to try to, make them strengths. As far as, the guys that, will jump out, or guys that, maybe the common fan doesn't know, I think it's really the usual suspects. I think Tyler Byron has had a really good camp for us. I feel like on the back end, T-Mac has come along. He's doing a tremendous job for us, along with Tank and Flowers. And then obviously BY, he jumps out. He's a guy that, has worked really hard on his craft. He obviously made a ton of plays for us last year, but I think he would be the first one to tell you he wanted to reaffirm his skill set in terms of the timing, his hand placement, things of that nature. And I think he's really, taken another step. So we're excited to see all of those guys obviously perform next Thursday.
Vince.
Tim, another competition is ongoing, it never ends. But what starting positions have you determined in the secondary?
Yeah, I think you probably answered the question for you at the second part. Obviously we have some veterans that have played a lot of football, from Flowers, who I mentioned earlier, to Tank, who's played, obviously, Burrell, who's played. Those guys have played a lot of football for us. But I think they'll be the first ones to tell you, all those guys have been interchangeable all spring and even all fall. So exactly what position those guys will play, we take that first snap on Thursday night. I think we're still working through that. But obviously those 3 names, jump to mind in terms of we feel pretty good that those guys will be out there in some form or fashion. Just at what position, we'll see.
Rick in the back, and then West.
Coach back here, picking up on the depth, how has that added depth you feel help you during preparations here for the season, and maybe help your confidence going on that side of the ball going into the season?
Yeah, well, I think it's big, because obviously the style in which we play, we're going to play a ton of snaps. Offense is going to score a ton of touchdowns, and, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to go out there and have success. So, obviously the more players you're able to play, we think the better it is for our long-term future and obviously our immediate success. So we've worked really hard, to make sure everybody is very comfortable with what we're trying to do. We split the groups up. We've tried to even out the reps. Number one, to figure out who our best guys are, but number two, to be able to, have enough depth to be able to move forward and obviously pay dividends moving forward through the season.
West.
Tim, this isn't the first. I guess today's not the first time we've heard Tamarion McDonald's name throughout camp. His name's come up several times. What's been different for him? Is it just a matter of light bulb coming on for him, or some experiences in the past, or what sort of led to this performance from him?
Yeah, I think he's always been a talented kid. He's had limited experience playing defensive back, coming from his high school days. But I thought that every snap he took last year, was an investment, that he really worked hard to be able to redeem this year. And now he's starting to see some of that fruit I think the big thing, though, is the consistency in which, he's performed this spring, last spring, I should say, and obviously this fall. So we're excited about him. He's a big body kid who can run. He's physical. We think he has a chance to be a really good player for us and contribute at a high level for us this season.
Adam, then Ryan.
Third down defense is something that you've talked about, Coach Hyde talked about all season, improving that. What evidence have you seen in camp that third down defense is better, or is that just something you have to see on game day? Yeah,
obviously you look for evidence and clues, during practice in every situation, whether you're talking red zone, third down, normal downs, et cetera. And there obviously been some clues that, we'll play at a high level. But at the end of the day, you got to go out there and do it on Thursday, next Thursday and Saturdays moving forward. But, like I've said, obviously the third down was something we talked about last year. But as I told the guys, this is a new year. We obviously got some returning players, but, the chemistry is different. There's different players at some spots. So, we're just going to try to go out there and execute, whether it's first down, second down, third down, red zone, coming out, you name it. We just want to execute at a high level, and then when the season's over, we'll see how we fare.
Following up on the secondary, a couple guys that played last year but weren't full-time starters, Kamal Haddon and Christian Charles. What have you liked about them this camp, and how's Haddon looked since he got back out there full strength?
Yeah, Haddon is very athletic. He's a tough kid. He has a tremendous amount of confidence and energy and juice. Obviously being able to get him back has been very important to us. Able to, get more reps and, obviously clean up some things that, he wanted to work on, some things that we identified, coming out of last fall. So he's really worked very hard. We're excited to see, him play this week or next weekend. As far as Charles goes, he's been a warrior. He's a kid that's extremely physical. He's a guy that, has the ability to obviously play on the hash. He obviously got some reps at corner. But I think his overall grasp of the package has improved greatly. I think he understands a lot more in detail in terms of what we're trying to get accomplished based on every different coverage that we have in. And I think obviously that'll bode well for him moving forward. So, both those guys are going to contribute, and we're excited to have them and, can't wait to see these guys play.
Eric, then Rob.
In an effort to play more players in the secondary, how many cornerbacks do you feel comfortable right now, or is that still kind of evolving?
Yeah, it's still kind of evolving. Obviously, we'll have a number in mind, in terms of how many guys we want to play or, get the lion's share of the reps, so to speak. But to be able to say definitively what that looks like, I don't know that right now. I'm not prepared to share that right now. But, we're going to play guys, and obviously, like I told the guys at the very first meeting, you get what you deserve, and if you work really hard and you're consistent in the things that we've asked you to be consistent with, then you'll have an opportunity to go out there and play. So we feel like we've made some strides in that area to develop some depth, but obviously we'll see come Thursday night, who's actually ready to go, and we'll have a plan for it.
Coach, at defensive tackle, how deep do you anticipate the rotation being? Who you can trust there?
Yeah, that's obviously, one of the key positions, and not just defensive tackle, but defensive line in general. You talk about being able to play more guys. I think that's a spot in particular where you want to make sure that you're able to rotate those guys and not have any drop-off. So, the usual suspects, between Bump, between Elijah, DJ, those guys will be able to come in prime. All of those guys, I think, will play a significant role with us. I don't think there'll be much of a drop-off between who's in and who's out. I think all of those guys collectively have had a really good camp thus far. And, once again, we're looking forward to watching those guys perform, Thursday, because the reality of it is, we'll go as far as our front goes, and those guys know that. Everybody has a job to do on every single play, but those guys, they're the tip of the spear. And those guys have really worked hard, and, we're anxious to see them, show it on Thursday nights.
Ben?
How much do you anticipate Josh Josephs and James Pierce contributing this season as freshmen?
Yeah, we're excited, man. Those guys have, been as good as advertised in terms of the athleticism that they bring to the table, their length. They're polished in terms of, they come from good football programs. We feel like they were prepared as much as you can be, coming to the collegiate level. So we anticipate them playing. I think those guys will obviously contribute. How much, we'll see, but we're counting on those guys. We need those guys to play well. for us to continue to grow this defense and, bring some added speed and athleticism to the defense.
2 more questions, Eric, then Jay.
What kind of fall camp has Juwan Mitchell had coming back and trying to help you, and overall the depth at the linebacker room? Do you feel better about it this go around than maybe where you left off in spring?
Yeah, I feel a ton better about it, to be quite honest with you. And Drew has really picked up where he left off before he got dinged up, last fall. He has a better grasp of the defense, I should say. He's been better in terms of his leadership, trying to be more vocal, taking command of the defense, so to speak. So he's been good. I think he's in a good place. I think he's ready to go and he's tuned up. But I think with Jeremy, and obviously Beasley, you put Pack in there. We feel like we got some guys that'll be able to contribute. Page is another guy who comes to mind. So we feel like we got enough guys there that we'll be able to keep guys fresh and put guys in the game, and it won't be much of a drop off that way.
Yeah, and go back to the secondary. How much of an impact do you think new guys in Terrence Hine and Wesley Walker can make this season?
Yeah, we like Wes a ton. Dre's a little bit younger, so he's still working his way through it. Just like most freshmen, obviously at the other spot he was there a year, but in our mind he's really just a freshman. Wes has obviously played some snaps by even though it was somewhere else, so he's has a little bit more of a veteran mentality. Obviously he's been in some battles, so we expect him to contribute and have an opportunity to really help this defense moving forward. I think Dre is still working through it. At some point, I think he'll be ready to be able to contribute, whether it be on defense, teams, or what have you. But, we're uber glad or excited that those guys are here, and we feel like they're going to help us, in terms of, being able to play better defense.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Thank you, guys.